Hello, hi. Assalamualaikum, everyone. Hi, welcome back to our class. Today, we are going to be looking at topic 2, the second topic in your module, oral presentation skills. So before we begin, I hope you have your module with you. And please make sure to read the module as I present the information that we have. Okay, so let's begin. Topic 2, oral presentation skills. So first, let's look at the objectives. So there are 5 main objectives that we will be covering in this module. So the first one is you are going to learn how to identify when and how visual aids will enhance a presentation. And then you're going to be looking at different types of visual aids, and we are going to identify effective and ineffective use of visual aids. We are going to be applying basic design principles to slides, and you are going to be identifying the best practices when it comes to incorporating visual aids in a presentation. Okay, so these are the 5 main objectives that we are going to be covering in this topic. Now let's begin. Before we start, I would like you guys to watch this video.
Marketing is the activity set for institutions and process for creating. Most girls like, can you call me back? I'm having a presentation right now. Yeah. Have the value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. Values for customers. Writing does not mean task or mission. Point to Lex.
Okay, so in this video, you look at the do's and don'ts when you're doing a presentation. So for example, in the don'ts, they said you should not be reading from your slides. You should not speak in a monotone voice. Monotone maksudnya satu nada. So when you are speaking, make sure you have higher and lower notes. And then you have to also remember to not include, to not pack your slides with all text and messages. So make sure you have to remember to use diagrams and use visual aids and give out handouts and to use body language. Okay. So those are some of the important things that we have learned from this video and what we are going to be learning in today's lesson as well. Okay. Now let's start. Sorry. Okay. So, introduction. A presentation. What is a presentation? It is a one to many formal verbal communication method. Okay. One to many means is from one person or one group to many people. So when you're presenting, you are usually trying to deliver information to a large group of people from one point of view. So from your point of view. So that is one too many. And this is formal because when you are just trying to talk informally to your friends or to your family, you don't do a presentation. You just talk. So this is formal because this is in a professional setting where you're actually trying to deliver something important. Okay. And verbal communication method. Verbal maksudnya secara lisan. So that means you have to talk. So you cannot do a presentation without talking. Okay. So this is one of the key components. So one, you have to remember this is a one to many communication. It is formal and it is verbal. Okay. So next, it is also the process of presenting an idea or a topic to an audience. Like I just said just now, you're presenting an idea or a topic, and it usually includes demonstration, introduction, lecture, or speech. These are some examples that is meant to inform, untuk menyampaikan atau memaklumkan sesuatu, to educate, untuk mendidik, to persuade, untuk memujuk, to inspire, untuk memberi inspirasi, or to motivate or to build goodwill, or present a new idea or product. So there are many purposes in doing a presentation like we discussed in the first topic. So these are some of the purposes. And then let's look at this third part. A presentation is a means of communication that can be adapted to various speaking situations such as talking to a group, addressing a meeting, or briefing a team. So a presentation can also be you talking to a group of people when you're talking in a meeting or you're trying to brief your team about something important. So that is also a presentation. So now let's look at steps of delivering a presentation. So the entire process of delivering a presentation can be divided into three steps. The first one is planning. So planning maksudnya kamu merancang. Okay. So first you plan. And then the second one is preparing. Preparing adalah kamu menyediakan. And lastly, delivering the presentation adalah bila kamu mempersembahkan atau kamu melaksanakan presentation itu. So, remember, so there are three steps. First, you have to plan, and then you have to prepare, and finally, you have to deliver the presentation. So let's look at the first step. Okay, before we begin, before you go to the first step, let's look at this quote. So it says here, you may have the best idea, the best product, or the best proposal. However, if you cannot present it in a professional manner, if you cannot present it will never be recognized as valuable. So that means two-person could have the same idea. The two-person could have the best idea, the best product that they want to sell. But if one person is good at presenting, the other person is not good at presenting, only the person who is good at presenting will be recognized as valuable. Okay? So that means if kamu tak tahu macam mana untuk menyampaikan maklumat dengan baik, kamu tak boleh nak present dengan baik, kamu tak boleh bercakap dengan baik, apa yang kamu nak cuba sampaikan tu mungkin tak akan dikira sebagai penting atau bermakna. Okay? So that is why the oral presentation skills and public speaking skills are considered very important. Okay, now let's move on to the first step. The first step is planning the presentation. That means you have to merancang, you have to plan your presentation. And there are four simple steps called the four cornerstones method required to create a successful presentation. So what are the four cornerstones? So the first one is, one, you have to know your audience. And then you have to know your purpose. Third, you have to know yourself. And lastly, you need to know your material. Okay, So know your audience, maksudnya kamu kena kenal, kamu kena tahu mengenai audience kamu. Bila kamu nak buat presentation, kamu tak boleh buat tanpa mengetahui siapa yang akan berada di audience tu. Sebab kamu nak kena tahu kamu nak sampaikan ni, kenapa kamu nak sampaikan pada diorang. And why are you presenting and who are you presenting to. So you have, bila kamu dah tahu audience kamu, baru kamu boleh tahu macam mana dan apa yang kamu nak present. Lepas tu kamu boleh adapt your delivery method. So maksudnya kamu boleh ubah cara-cara penyampaian kamu berdasarkan atau bergantung kepada audience kamu. So macam saya cakap dalam kelas sebelum ni, contohnya audience kamu kanak-kanak, so cara penyampaian kamu tak akan sama dengan contoh bila audience kamu adalah kumpulan yang profesional, yang berusia. Okay, so kamu punya delivery method depends on your audience. Next, you need to know your purpose. Purpose adalah tujuan kamu. Apa tujuan kamu nak sampaikan ucapan ni? Apa yang kamu nak cuba sampaikan? Bila kamu dah tahu apa yang kamu nak sampaikan, then only you can determine your content. Baru kamu boleh tahu apa yang kamu nak sampaikan, isi-isi yang kamu nak cuba sampaikan. And then the third one, you need to know yourself. Kamu kena kenal diri kamu sendiri. Why? Because you need to know your style. So cara-cara penyampaian ada macam-macam. So certain people are more serious and smiley. Certain people are good at being funny and using jokes. So you have to know yourself, okay? So your style might be funny, so you should not force yourself to be too serious, or your style might be serious, so you shouldn't force yourself to be funny. Okay? So know your style, know your strength and weakness. So apa kamu dan apa kelemahan kamu. So mungkin kamu jenis yang mudah nervous. So kamu kena tahu, okay, kalau kamu mudah nervous, mungkin kamu perlukan ada visual aids atau kamu kena ada notes untuk remind ke diri kamu. And then effective and articulate delivery of ideas. So kamu kena tahu apa cara-cara yang paling efektif untuk kamu menyampaikan idea-idea kamu. And then lastly, you have to know your material. Kamu kena tahu bahan-bahan kamu. Before you start your presentation, you need to know your material, understand your material. Okay? Why? Because bila kamu dah tahu bahan-bahan kamu, then it will increase your confidence because you understand everything. You understand what you're trying to deliver. And then it will help make your delivery clear. So akan lebih jelas, and you can also use visual aids. Okay, so bila kamu dah faham mengenai material kamu, kamu boleh tentukan mungkin kamu nak include graph or chart, or you want to include videos or photos. Okay, so these are the 4 cornerstones method of planning a presentation. So before you plan your presentation, please make sure you think about. Next, we are going to go into the second step, which is preparing. Merancang, tadi kita rancang, now kita akan buat persediaan. So untuk menyediakan kamu punya presentation. So when preparing presentation, the first step is you have to explore the topic. Okay, so sebelum kamu sediakan kamu punya ucapan atau kamu punya slide, kamu kena banyak buat kajian mengenai topik kamu tu dulu. Okay, so 2 strategies that you can use to explore a topic is, one, listing, and the second one is clustering. Why? Because when you explore a topic, you can see possible elements. So apa bahan-bahan atau elemen-elemen yang kamu berkaitan topik kamu that you can include in your presentation. So, kamu boleh tahu apa informasi yang ada dalam topik tu yang kamu boleh guna pakai dalam presentation kamu. Then you can choose from these elements to create an outline. Okay, so after you have explored the topic and you do your research, then you can choose what you want to include and you can create the outline like we learned in the previous topic. Okay, so now let's look at listing and clustering. So this is the method that we talk about, the 2 strategies here. Okay, so the 2 strategies here is, listing and clustering. So, what is the difference between listing and clustering? Listing adalah bila kamu menyenaraikan sesuatu. So, list adalah senarai. And clustering adalah bila kamu kumpulkan sesuatu. Okay, so contohnya listing is bila kamu brainstorm and list ideas that you want to use. So, for example, maybe my topic is what is it? It could be reading, contoh. Benefits of reading. Okay, so this is the topic that I want to present. Okay, then I would do research, I would explore the topic and see what are some benefits of reading. So maybe first I can say improve vocab, improve your vocabulary. And maybe another benefit is a fun hobby. Okay. And then daripada sini kamu senaraikan lagi. Okay, so improve vocab. Macam mana ni boleh improve vocab kamu? So for example, you can say learn new words and then use dictionary, for example. Okay, so ini adalah bila kamu menyenaraikan apa-apa idea yang kamu ada. So dekat sini, at this stage, you don't edit anything. Okay, so you just list down anything that come to mind, anything that you find, and you just list down everything. And then baru nanti kamu akan edit, maybe you want to change certain things, maybe you want to delete certain things, and then baru you create your outline. Okay. And then this is clustering. Clustering is when you write your idea and you try to see the connection, how it expand. So it could be the same as benefits of like listing here. So maybe I want to talk about sports. Okay. So what are the benefits of sports? Maybe I can say good for health. And then from here I can expand. How is it good for health? So good. Maybe you can say sweat. You can say build stamina. So you can write anything that comes to your mind. Okay, so from here, you can develop your points, you can identify. So maybe this is going to be your first point, and then this is going to be your second point. And maybe you have a point that you don't like, so you can just cross it out. Okay, so here, this is an example of listing and also clustering. So when you're preparing your presentation, you can use these techniques or these strategies to prepare for your speech. So next, let's look at the third step. The third step is delivering the presentation. So when you're trying to deliver the presentation, what should you think of? So you have to think of the presentation structure. So like when we write a speech, so you have the structure that you have to follow. So a typical presentation structure looks like this. You need to have an opening, you need to have body, and you need to have the closing or the conclusion. Okay, the usual flow of a presentation covers all the vital sections and is a good starting point for yours. So before you begin, you should consider the structure. Okay, and it allows your audience to easily follow along and sets out a solid structure you can add to your content. So this is important because if, for example, you start your presentation and you go straight to body, and suddenly you don't have a closing. So it will be very, very confusing for your audience to understand. So that is why you need to follow the structure. So you have to start with your opening and then you go to use your point and lastly you do your conclusion. Okay, now let's look at opening. So opening is where you can include first introduction, your greeting, sorry. So in your greeting, you will say, hi, assalamualaikum. You can introduce yourself. So what is your name and what topic you're trying to present today. Okay, so that is your greeting. And then you move on to your introduction. So in your introduction, you explain what is the subject of your presentation, what is your purpose, and you can include something that can grab your audience attention. So this can be in the form of, macam kita belajar in the previous topic, you can include facts. You can also include statistics. You can also, for example, show a video like I did today. You could also propose a question, a rhetorical question. Okay, so these are all examples of attention grabber that you can use in your opening. So why do you need to have a attention grabber? Because you want to intrigue your audience, you want to actually draw their attention, and you want them to start thinking about your topic. So they're not just passively listening, you want them to actually think about it. Okay, so that is opening. Next, let's look at body. So in your body, so first you have to remember you have to organize your points. So you have to organize. You can either organize based on priority. You start with your most important and then you end with the least important, or you could follow a theme, or you could also go through a chronological order. So maybe if you're trying to teach your students or your audience about how to cook something, so when you're trying to cook something, you have to follow a certain order. You cannot just suddenly dah angkat makanan hidang and then suddenly baru kamu nak potong bawang ke. So you have to start with what should be done first and then what should be done last. So that is chronological. And then you need to also explain your points. So in your explanation, you must include supporting evidence, you must include examples, and lastly, you have to also do a mini summary. So, supporting evidence is bila kamu dah bagi tahu what's your point, and then you explain, you can include evidence like facts, statistics, quotes, and then you can also give examples. So, contoh-contoh dia. And then lastly, when you are trying to summarize, this is what we call a topic sentence. This is when you try to make it clear what is the main idea of that paragraph. Okay, so like we learned in the previous lesson. So you must have a topic sentence. And then lastly, you look, we will go into closing. So in your closing, first you have to signal the ending. So your audience need to understand that you're actually approaching the end of your presentation. So how can you signal the ending? You can say, for example, as we wrap up this presentation, I want to remind you guys again about what. Okay. You could also say, as we wind down the talk, or in conclusion, and then you conclude your presentation. So next, this is your summary. So you summarize, you restate your topic and your purpose. So kamu ulang semula, remind the audience of what is the topic and what is the purpose of your presentation. And you can include a call to action. So a call to action is when you are telling your audience what they should do. So for example, maybe I can say, if my topic is benefits of reading. So my call to action could be, done. I could say, so my call to action could be, I hope everyone will pick up a book and start reading. So for example, or if your topic is benefits of exercising or benefits of sports. So your call to action could be, I hope everyone will start exercising today for the better of your health. Okay. So that is call to action. You are calling your audience to take action on something. And lastly, you have to thank the audience. So you can do this by saying, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for your time. So that is thanking the audience. So we have looked at 3 steps for preparing for a speech. So first, you have to plan. The second one is you have to prepare. And lastly, you deliver the presentation. Okay, before we end today's lesson, I want you guys to watch 2 videos. So this is the first one.
Hello, I'm Jay. Thanks for visiting Toastmasters International to learn more about public speaking. Since 1924, we've helped more than 4 million people gain the confidence to communicate in all circumstances. And one of the most demanding situations you'll ever face is speaking to an audience. Here are some time-tested tips to help you prepare so that you feel empowered to impress others. If you pay attention to these 5 crucial tips when you plan and deliver your next speech, you'll have an easier time and your audience will get more out of the experience. Now, if you want to overcome nervousness, the first guideline is simply to know what you're talking about. You'll have an easier time giving a speech on a subject if you know the subject well. Want to speak about your favorite musician? Read any information on the person that you can find online or at your library. When you become an authority on your topic, the audience will want to learn what they can from you. And you won't have to struggle to keep your messages straight if you know the messages well. Once you've mastered your topic, the next step is to master your presentation. Make sure you rehearse the entire speech so that you will be comfortable presenting it. And practice any difficult parts repeatedly until they flow smoothly. Whether or not you memorize each word, you should make sure you know the order of your messages. That's why new Toastmasters members begin with the icebreaker speech. It's a chance to talk about the subject you know best, yourself. Then all you have to focus on is practicing how well you tell your story. Understand the importance of knowing who will be listening to you and where you will be when you give your presentation. Both the audience and location can create limitations that are important to understand. For example, if you are a researcher, you might speak about the math behind your work. Now, if you're addressing a group of college professors, you could use highly technical language to discuss a sophisticated research project. Would you do that if you were describing your work to a group of school children? For young kids, wouldn't it be better to talk about how people learn things through research? Knowing your audience means understanding and respecting their particular characteristics. Before you prepare your speech, their geography, politics, culture, and age, and other traits will define them as a group and will guide you in tailoring your presentation to fit their needs. Be sure to check out your location before you present. Will there be enough space on stage for everything you need? If you're planning to deliver a PowerPoint presentation, are you sure they'll have a screen? Or have you been placed in an outdoor amphitheater with too much sun for anyone to see the screen? What about audience size? Will a sound system be available if you need it? All these questions are important to answer before you take the stage. This is an eye-opener. For you, not your audience. You'd be surprised how much an audience misses during a presentation. If you make a minor mistake, such as skipping a portion of your speech or forgetting a few words, don't worry. Your audience most likely doesn't have a clue. Just keep going, and you'll find your way back on track with your next point. If you apologize, you call attention to the wrong part of your presentation, which takes away the important point you want to make. An advanced speaker knows how to guide the audience's attention toward the important parts and away from the small stuff. Whether you make a mistake or not, just remember that people want you to do a good job. And because of that, they're rooting for you. It helps to remember this with the next tip. A great way to find success is to visualize it. Give yourself time for this important form of preparation. See yourself making important, valid points with appropriate gestures and body language that emotionally connect you with your audience. Once you see yourself using what works, you'll feel more relaxed and confident. And don't forget to imagine pausing while your audience applauds wildly. Some beginning speakers let their nervousness win because they make the mistake of focusing entirely on themselves. When something goes wrong, for example, your reaction can cause your voice to shake. Then all you hear is a shaky voice. That becomes the focus of your thoughts. But remember, you're giving a talk for an important reason. Keep that reason in mind and focus on what's really important, your message. Find the passion to entertain, educate, inspire, or motivate your audience, and you'll find your purpose and your voice. For more information on public speaking, please visit a Toastmasters club. Find a local at www.toastmasters.org.
Okay, so that video discussed some of the important tips when you're doing a presentation or a public speaking. So like we've discussed before, so you have to remember, you have to know your audience, their age, their politics, their location. You have to also know your material very well, so that when you know your materials well, you are able to deliver the information very confidently. And you have to also remember to study the location, make sure they have all the tools, equipment that you need. Okay, so next, let's look at the next video.
Okay, just get up on that podium. All right, I'm here. That was easy. Now I just need to. Oh my gosh! How many people are in the audience? 100? 1,000? Don't count. Okay, I can do this. I'm gonna focus on my notes. What did I have written down again? Hello. My. Okay, if this sounds like your worst nightmare, you're not alone. Actually, you're one of the estimated 70% of the population that has an intense fear of public speaking. And that's okay, because on today's wellcast, we've got our triple P method that will get you through and get you calm during that next oral report and keep your breakfast where it belongs. You ready? Many polls list public speaking as the most commonly reported phobia among Americans. It's called glossophobia, meaning literally fear of the tongue. A study by Texas Christian University tested 48 women and 48 men enrolled in a public speaking class and found that those who exhibited high trait anxiety had the most physical symptoms of distress when speaking publicly. So, what if you're the kind of person whom any bit of social acrobatics is tantamount to entering a lion's den? Hey, calm down. Okay, I'm just kidding, but seriously, calm down, all right? We've got our triple P method that'll get you through that next public speaking gig. Pause and print this wellcast worksheet. Step 1, prepare, prepare, prepare. We said it 3 times because it's that important.
There are 2 things that go into being prepared. Number 1, knowing your subject backwards and forwards. 2, knowing exactly how you're going to present it step by step. In your wellcast worksheet, write down the major points that you want to get across to the audience. Get the ideas out of your head and onto the paper.
In the next column to the right, start ordering these points in a logical manner. Arguing your point to the audience and winning them over is like a boxing match. First, start with some fancy footwork. A fact or an anecdote that will hook the audience in and get them to pay attention to you. Then, throw a couple of swings. Supporting evidence for your argument. Stats, personal stories. Something that will start to convince the audience that you're taking control. And finally, the knockout. A landing blow of statements that's memorable, convincing, and sums up your speech's position. All right, step 2. Posture and physicality are key. Part of keeping your anxiety at bay while giving your speech is knowing what to do with your body.
Before your speech, avoid large meals or dairy products, which will make you feel like you need to clear your throat incessantly. Bring a bottle of water on stage if you're allowed. Don't be afraid to take sips throughout your speech. It'll keep your voice natural, and it gives you a moment to pause and regain your composure if needed. Stand naturally, not too stiff or slumped. Good posture will help you breathe and speak easier, and it'll let your audience know that you're calm and in control.
Step 3, pander to your audience. The best public speakers know how to work the room. Don't be completely serious unless the occasion calls for it. Don't read entirely out the cards. Keep it natural, cadence, and pace. Throw a joke or a side in. It'll draw in a laugh. If there's a silence, then turn that into a joke. Stay natural, self-effacing, and the audience will be on your side. Let's recap. You'd rather face a poisonous reptile than public speak, huh? Well, follow the Wellcast Triple P checklist. Prepare extensively for your speech. Know your content backwards and forwards, and figure out the absolute best way to present it and to win over your audience. Watch your posture and physicality. This includes everything from standing naturally to breathing from your diaphragm.
And pander to your audience. Keep them in the palm of your hand and with an easy demeanor, natural cadence, and of course, jokes.
Tweet us at WatchWellcast, email us at watchwellcast@gmail.com, or leave a comment down below. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so in this video, they talk about the triple P method. The first method is you have to prepare extensively, and then you have to watch your posture and your physicality. So that includes your body language, your eye contact, your voice projection. And lastly, you have to pander the audience. So you control the audience. You can pause when you need to. You can look at your audience, make sure you smile, be calm, be relaxed. And remember, like in the previous video, do not apologize for any mistakes that you make. Just be confident and be calm. Okay, so that is the end of our lesson today. We are going to be continuing in the next lesson. So today's surprise question is I want you to name one place that you wish you could travel to right now. So it could be maybe you would like to be in Mecca, or maybe you would like to go to Austria or New Zealand or Paris. So please comment in the YouTube video, so in the comment section. Please comment one place that you wish you could travel to right now, and I will use your answer as your attendance for today. So thank you so much. Bye.